Hello, this is going to be my first lesson. I know, it's groundbreaking stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be any good at this, but I'm going to give it a red hot crack, as they say. Today we're doing Blur, There's No Other Way. Great song, I have covered it, and I'd like to think I play it somewhat accurately. I try to copy Graham as much as I can when it comes to the song itself. So, yeah, I've observed every single detail of his playing, and hopefully I can share that with you lot. So let's get into it. Okay, so for the intro, we're going to slide all the way up from the 3rd fret to the 12th, which gives us an E. So, and then you've got a muted strum, and then you down strum to hit this sort of double stop with your index finger, like that. But then you hammer on. And I think there's another muted strum in between that, so... No, there isn't. Okay, you just hammer it straight on. It's a very sort of... Graham says caveman-y. It is very caveman-y. You just kind of whack your fingers across the strings and hope it all comes through sounding nice and clean. So, once you've got that, so you go up from this to that, and then back down again, effectively. So once you've got that, then you go all the way back down, and you do the same thing down here. But you hit this double stop and slide down. You don't want to push too hard when you slide all the way back down, because otherwise you'll slice your fingers off, which isn't fun. And then you end up at the 1st fret again. Again, muted strum. Whack all your fingers across those 3 strings like that, because it's effectively one of those. And then this chord shape. So this is basically a shortened bar chord, these 3 fingers here, playing that. I tend to use these sorts of chord shapes a lot. So when you go from this, you effectively just have these 3 fingers, but you add your pinky on as well, and then pull off. Or just hit it once, and then when you strum again, make sure you have it off. Just like that. And then to get back up to the 12th fret, your 3rd finger is already on the D string. So you just want to slide back up to the 12th fret again to get to that E. And that's how you play the intro. Okay, so from the intro, we have the verses. And in my opinion, this is one of the most fun guitar parts to play of any song. And it's very beginner friendly because you have a lot of open chord shapes, but they are made interesting because Graham is a genius. So after you do you go to an open D, but not just any open D, you hit it twice. And then where do you go from there? You go to a C, but not just any C. You hammer the whole chord on. Look at this. See how much better that sounds? And then to an A. I should probably mention that you have to do that on the B string, the hammer-on pull-off thing. So then to an A, this type of A, because you're going to slide up to the 5th fret, and you're going to put down these 2 fingers straight afterwards. So that turns it into basically this chord shape. Instead, you've got the whole thing barred with your index finger like that. And where do you go after doing that? You go back to the C, hammer on, pull off, and then back to D. So. back to the D. That happens a few times. And then there's the chorus. So for the chorus, you go back to the D, again, twice down on it, but then you go to this B. But you don't just go to any old B.
That's right. You don't go to any old B, because it's a C, you idiot.
With Graham, it's no normal
C.
When I've seen him play it live, he does this weird sort of primal chord shape where he just hammers all of his fingers down. And he kind of lifts it off at the... he hammers it on really, really fast. It's quite rhythmic. Again, it's quite skippy. That's the nature of the whole song, really. So it's something like that when he plays it live. Sometimes I'll just go straight to this because it's more efficient. So this is a C as well, technically. But yeah, D twice. You just whack all your fingers across those strings there. And then to an F. Up to the G. Back to the D. So. And then you also put that fourth finger on the high E there. So you've got your D shape, and you put your pinky, you whack it on the high E for like maybe one or two, what's the technical term? Hits. I'm just going to say hits. So strums. That's what I was looking for. Strums. There we go. So the whole thing sounds like this. And then you hit the D twice at the end. And now there's the sort of turnaround lick riff thing that he likes to throw in, which sounds awesome. And this is probably the most fiddly part of the song. So let's get into that. Okay, so after you've hit your D twice again, that doesn't sound very good. So this little interesting, that thing, we're going to start on the fifth fret, G string. First finger, and you slide down to the second fret, slide back up to the fifth fret, and then you hit that string on the second fret again. And then you want to use this finger for the next bit. It's very important you use that finger there. And if you're left-handed, you use this one, because obviously you'll be playing the neck this way. Anyway, you keep that second finger on the D string and the first finger on the G string. So you've got like basically like a little chord shape there. And then you hit the G string again, slide up with the D string, hit it twice, and then onto the G string, hammer on. So all together again, just like that. I hope that makes some sense. Now the ending. Once you go from this again, you come back up to this E shape. It's effectively an E. I guess it's not with a capo, but when there's no capo on the guitar, like so, it is an E. Believe me, trust me. I promise I sort of know what I'm talking about. Not really. Anyway, you have this shape here again, shortened bar chord. So come up to this, and you want to be really loose in the wrist, super rhythmic. It just goes down 3 frets, then down 4 frets, back up 4 frets, back up 3 frets. That's it. It just loops around like that. The rhythm might be slightly different to that. I haven't actually played the song in a while. It's something along those lines. As long as you've got the general feeling, that's the main thing. I think he might even lift off his second finger to get back up to that. something like that, I think. I'm not entirely sure, I can't remember. I probably should because I'm making a lesson on it, but it's good enough. So there you go. That is a lesson, or an attempt at one. I hope all of that made sense. If it didn't, then feel free to comment and slate me and tell me that I'm the worst teacher ever known to humankind, because I probably am. But in all seriousness, if something didn't make sense, just leave a comment and I'll try to address it. Apart from that, I probably should have said how many times each phrase gets repeated, but at the same time I couldn't be bothered. So if you listen to the song, then I'm sure you'll get a feel for how many times things get repeated. I just wanted to teach the parts themselves, and then once you know the parts, they just kind of repeat themselves for a few times, and yeah, now you know how to play it. You know all the bits and pieces. I hope that was of some use, and I might do another one soon. If this does okay and people enjoy it, let me know, and feel free to request a song or two if you want. Song 2, Blur, hilarious. I would also just like to say I've made a Patreon, so if you feel like giving a generous amount of money to someone that isn't very good at what they do, then feel free to click the link in the description and all that YouTuber stuff. As always, your support is greatly appreciated, whether it's monetary or not now. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.